Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Crypto Wolf, and we're gonna do a quick little tutorial while we look at the chart as well. So without too much getting into it, we're gonna be looking at how to draw Fib channels or Fibonacci retracement channels. And looking over here at the chart, you can see lately, ever since we had that dip, we've had this just perfect little channel going upward here, just slightly upward. And so just out of curiosity, you know, I had the trend lines there for the channel lines, but let me throw a little Fibonacci channel on here and see what it looks like. And quite interesting indeed. So before I get into showing you how to draw it, just looking at, you know, if you're not familiar with what a Fibonacci retracement is, it's one of these guys here, typically horizontal lines. Got a video way back toward the beginning of the channel about how to draw those, so you can go and check that one out. I'll probably leave a link, I don't know, somewhere on here. And it's essentially the same thing, except it's at an angle, just like a regular channel would be. And you can look on here and we have our typical levels. You have your 0, your 236, 382, your 0.5, and then your 618, and then I generally add the 650 in there, which gives you that little golden pocket. And then your 786 and a 1, and in this case, you know, oftentimes it'll do an extension beyond the 1. I left it at the 1618. If it goes up that far, honestly, I'm not paying any attention to the channel anymore, generally speaking. But the point is, you can watch the price action come bounce around, and you will oftentimes see it, you know, hitting between these levels. So just to follow along a little bit and see what this one did, you know, we came down here, we had a low, so drew the 0 line down there. As you can see, we came back to it, almost came back to it there, but, you know, came up, took a little bounce off of this guy, up into that golden pocket before, coming up to that 786, coming back to that golden pocket, put in our high, which ended up being the top of the channel. Now, obviously, you can't always draw these too early on because you need enough price action to start getting some swing highs and swing lows. But it even actually lined up back here with, you know, this little bounce on the way down. And so far it's played out fairly well. And you can see again hanging out at that golden pocket before coming back down. Got rejected off the golden pocket, rejected again. Pretty much rejected again. Swung up to this guy, but generally speaking was just hanging out up here, kind of stair-stepping up these levels. You know, support down here, all the way up to the present. And it gets even more interesting when you zoom in, but as you can see, really playing off of those levels. Good gosh, that's a lot of stuff to erase. All right. And I particularly noticed over here on the 12-minute, just watching this, and it was same thing. It just keeps banging around on those levels. So I'm like, okay, this one is actually playing out like beautifully. So I figured this is a great opportunity to not only talk about it for those who are unfamiliar, but to also show you guys how to make it. So since I don't feel like redoing this one just because I'm lazy. Where do we go here? Fib channel. Okay, we'll hide that guy. And so if you were to start out with your trend lines, and let's say maybe you didn't. So I'll hide this guy. Hide that guy. So you got your price action. Matter of fact, we'll go full screen here. And let's say you were back here at the beginning and you're, okay, maybe that one wicked a little far. Figure right about there seems like a good bottom line. Let's see if we could snap to this guy. There we go. Maybe you're looking at this and like, okay, they're not necessarily parallel. I'll generally try to keep them somewhat parallel and say, okay, that's a decent little channel right there of trend lines. You know, you get a couple little wicks below, but who cares? You know, nobody said it had to be 100% perfect. And I'll show you the regular spot for it. So Here we go, Fib Channel over here on your hefty drawing tools right there. And same exact thing, come down, pick your swing low. Then you want to go off to the right, pretty much as far as you want to or as far as you can. And then you can see where you're going to pick your top of the channel right there. And depending on where that is, scales accordingly. You can come over here. It doesn't matter how far you go this way, the lines are always going to be parallel to this bottom line. So basically you're just looking to, you know, click on whatever extent you are trying to use. Oh my gosh, there we go. And so you can see, okay, my little hand-drawn trend line was slightly off. So again, if we're watching this blue line right here, yeah, it wicked up above a little bit, but who cares? And you can see we have our nice little golden pocket going not quite in the middle, a little bit above. And if you double click on any of those lines, you get your settings pop up, and here you can control what lines you see, what colors they are. And right now I have the opacity on the background colors really low, but if you want to make it look like a, you know, an 80s advertisement, you could turn it all the way up halfway if you like having the background colors there. In my case, I'm generally keeping them pretty low. Want like a low impact so it's not distracting, taking away from the candles themselves a little bit, I suppose. Or you can just flat out turn it off and then you just get lines. Now I know some people who are generally trading like just off of golden pockets will go through and they will hide literally everything else, to where they draw this thing out, boom, just puts a golden pocket on there for them, and that's it. They're good. They're done. They don't want all the other lines. They just say, okay, there's my golden pocket. There's an area that I'm looking to potentially start or end a trade at, which is perfectly fine. And it all depends on what your trading strategy is. Personally, I don't know. I kind of like watching it bouncing off the lines a little bit. And it's not even that I don't even need that one on. It's not even that I necessarily, you know, see it coming somewhere and say, okay, when it hits this line, I'm going to, you know, go long. I'm going to start a trade. And it's not even so much like that, but it just kind of gives you something to kind of like a heads up. Like, all right, we're dipping down. We broke through this line, I'm going to be paying attention when we get down to this line. We'll see what's going to happen. If you start seeing signs for a reversal, then you start thinking, okay, well, this may be a good spot. As well as, you know, obviously seeing if it comes back down to the bottom, which you don't necessarily need the Fib channel for, but like right now, we're like an airplane on approach, coming right up to that golden pocket right now. So kind of curious to see what happens. We got our little triangle. We'll see if that plays out. But that is about all you really need to know. You know, you can extend right just like you do with the trend lines, and it'll just go on forever and ever. Hopefully that would never be the case, because I mean, I guess it'd technically be going up, but you don't really want it going like sideways forever. That'd just be terrible and boring. Oh, and you know, if you really want to go low impact, don't want to have a bunch of stuff on your screen, you know, the labels, you could switch the position, or you could just flat out turn them off. You know, you go center, right. So in that case, the labels will be in the center of your screen no matter where you're scrolling, I believe. Top, middle, bottoms, your vertical alignment. You could do values, or you could do percentages. Doesn't really matter. I'm just used to seeing values. And of course, font size and all that good stuff. Or you could have the price level right there in the parentheses. In the case of a channel, it seems a little counterintuitive because the lines aren't perfectly horizontal. So it honestly makes more sense just to turn the prices off. And if you're getting super technical, you could change coordinates of, you know, the 3 points that you picked to create it. And of course you have your visibility. So in this case, it's, you know, I don't necessarily want this showing up on like a weekly or a monthly chart, because it's just going to be a tiny little rainbow blob, just barely even see it. So sometimes that's nice if you don't want to clutter up, you know, your time frames that are vastly different from what you're drawing in. For example, we're on the 12-minute, and you can see, yeah, clearly we want this on the 12-minute. Let's go to the 1 hour. Yeah, it's not bad to have on the 1 hour, 6 hour. Okay, now it's getting a little small. Now it seems kind of pointless. So, came in here, nope on the daily. Let's say maybe we cut it off at the 4 hour. So this is just saying this fib channel will be visible on the charts, the time frames from 1 to 59 minutes and 1 hour to 4 hour. Anything higher than a 4 hour chart, poof, it's gone. And that's how you do that. So since we got that out of the way, and there you go, you can see came back to the 12-minute, shows back up. Bada bing, bada bang, bada boom, there you go. And so with that out of the way, you know, let's take a look and see what the price is doing. See what we're looking at here, since honestly the lower time frames are basically saying jack shit. Let's go up to the daily. So over here on the daily, we have a VWAP crossover. Let me zoom this up for you a little bit here. So we have a VWAP crossover. It's kind of a weak one though. It is, it's kind of weak. It came over and it's kind of falling flat. It's getting a little limp. As far as the RSIs go, this is kind of interesting. So as we came up, gigantic split. We've seen that in plenty of videos that I've done lately, because we've been, you know, getting weakness amongst different time frames altogether. You know, we did have a little bump to the green on the money flow. Yeah, we're fairly low. We're not quite crossing over just yet. Kind of hit like a little sideways, you know, right as we got into this area right here, but I'm not necessarily putting a lot of faith in that it's going to be like, whoop, just continue back up. Not to mention, you know, you go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. So I'm waiting to see where that down action is. Not to mention the more important, well, I'll show you that here in a second, but RSIs did a flip, so never even came together, which granted they were coming closely together on the way down, which shows more strength to the downside. But now we got this funky little flip, so we'll see what happens. You know, momentum, we're low. Got the little green dot again with the VWAP crossover, but we shall see. Does it mean anything? Is it a repeat of what we saw back here? Yep, money flow is coming down off a little hump, coming down off a little hump. Had a little dip in momentum, a little dip in momentum. A little bit different in the RSIs, but you know, you're never going to see the exact same thing, especially not that close together. So that's kind of what the daily's looking like. Let's hop over to the 4 hour. You know, in this case, yep, technically money flow's heading back up, and generally speaking, it's not a terrible time to start looking at an uptrend. You know, when you get like 3/4 of the way through a wave, which we are right about in the 3/4 area. Now, this particular moment, this magic moment, is not a lot making me think, all right, I just want to blindly throw a long position out there. And the reason I say that is, you know, VWAP trending down, still well below the zero. Momentum kind of trending down. RSIs, as this was going up, again, taking a gigantic split. So getting weaker to the upside as we're essentially just starting the upward movement on the money flows. So, you know, that's not super encouraging for the bulls right there. I guess we'll pop on the 1 hours. I'm not even going to do anything below that. Over here, same sad story. Money flow coming down, and we've had, it's almost opposite this time, but ton of choppiness. You know, a little bit increasing to the plus side as it was going up, but you know, RSI, yeah, trending up, definitely choppy, pretty ugly looking. We are seeing some split action as the RSI heads down, so you know, the lower time frames are kind of a chaotic mess. You know, a little bit of an uptrend here in the VWAP, you know, may turn into, you know, at least a move to the top of the channel. Maybe, you know, maybe we see a little something like this. At the same time, at that money flow, I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up, I think is what I'm trying to get at. Oh, but yeah, so the important part in the grander scheme of things. Let's see what happened. Oh, that's happened. Get rid of that. There we go. Okay. So we are still in this much larger macro channel. Honestly, it'd probably be interesting to throw a Fib channel on here. Let's do a down and dirty one here. Hanging out down here in the first little section there, but you know, look at that. Look, I played out. Look at this. Support, 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 support. Came past a little bit right here, but resistance, 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 resistance. Look at that. We got a double example on two different scales. How you like that? But the main thing, and I was talking about this back even before this dip happened, and I was saying that, you know, I was expecting, you know, because we're coming up here, we're hanging out, you know, there's the potential that we break out because we kept retesting this area, but Market Cipher really wasn't looking that way. So I was expecting the downward dip, which, I mean, I pretty much drew this out almost exactly. I should go back and like play the clip from the video where I was like, you know, if we don't break through, I'd be watching to see this keep bouncing along the bottom of this channel. And if it does, and it keeps retesting the bottom, trying, there's a good chance eventually it's going to make it through. So that's still what I'm watching out for. You know, and even up here on the 6 hour, getting bigger bearish numbers on the DBSI. Again, just to kind of reiterate here, VWAP just getting into the negative area. You know, despite hanging up here for a while. Didn't amount to much, but still was hanging up here for a while. So there's definitely some expectation that the VWAP comes down below into the underworld for a while. You can see last time we were down there, we hung out for a minute. RSI's just straight fell off. You know, and money flow, we'll see what happens with the money flow. You know, potentially we could see something like this. I suppose that would be like the bullish case right there. Or we could see a lower low and this thing turns into something long and ugly. But that's where we're at. I'm not even going to try to complicate it any more than that. That's what I'm looking at. That's what's going through my head. And generally speaking, I imagine that's what most people are thinking, even if they're not thinking or saying it in the same terms I am. Honestly, I really don't watch, I haven't watched anybody's analysis lately, so I mean, I'm not even influenced by what other people are saying. This is just straight up, you know, me looking at it, what I think, what I see, trying to get better at it myself without the bias of, you know, other people on YouTube or whatnot leaning me in a certain direction. So hope you got something out of it. Hope you find the Fib channel useful, especially right now. These were some great examples of it. And just go check out some of the other videos. There's plenty of instruction videos. We talk about different indicators, drawing tools, ton of market cipher stuff. Went over literally every single little bit and tidbit of everything in market cipher at this point. We got the TradingView tutorials where I go over every single icon and button on this screen within TradingView. So, you know, if there's anything you want to know, anything you're curious about, any indicators or drawing tools or something like that you want me to dig into, maybe you like the way I describe it, if I keep it simple or interesting or just, you know, not boring and snooze fest, let me know. Let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, remember, keep being a badass. Practice that trading psychology. Let it carry over into your daily life and keep it up. Later.